Are you facing a mountain in your life? In 2 Chronicles chapter 20, there's a fascinating story of how the king of Judah had to face a frightening situation that was overwhelming. The surrounding nations had allied together and were sending all of their armies against Judah to destroy it. Well, Judah was a small country. There was no way they could defend themselves against those kinds of odds. So the Bible says that the king of Judah, Jehoshaphat, was alarmed. Well, of course he's alarmed. But you would expect him to meet then with his generals, his strategists, his cabinet, and try to come up with some strategy and some way of defending themselves. But no, the Bible says he was alarmed and inquired of the Lord and called a national fast. So he went before God, and his prayer is recorded in that chapter. And he goes before God and reviews God's faithfulness to the nation, all the ways God had intervened in miraculous ways. And then he puts the problem before God that they were facing of these surrounding armies. And then he concludes with, "We don't know what to do, but our eyes are on you." In other words, he puts the entire problem before God and says, "Only you have the answer." And then a prophet steps forward and gives God's response. And God assures them that the battle isn't theirs, it's his, and that they should go out and meet the opposing armies with confidence. Well, the king actually accepts this word and he sends out his armies. But what is so interesting is he sends out the choir in front of the army to go and face the enemy. Now, if I was one of the choir members, I think that would cause me a little bit of concern. But the choir goes out in front and starts to worship. And as soon as they start to sing, the opposing armies attack each other and defeat themselves. And Israel's saved. Now, are you facing insurmountable odds? Are you facing an overwhelming situation? Are you facing a situation that fills you with fear or anger or frustration and you don't know what to do and you're just swirling? Well, I know it's very hard to shut those overwhelming thoughts off, but you need to pause and we need to talk to God, just like Jehoshaphat did in his time of tremendous distress. But I know when your mind is screaming at you with fear, worry, anger, all those things, it's very hard to listen to God. But here are 5 things you need to do when you're facing overwhelming odds. First, talk to God and ask him, what does he want you to know about this situation? In other words, what's his perspective on it? And number 2, ask God, how does he want you to pray about it? And then 3, what lies are you believing that's making you so fearful or so frustrated or so angry or that feeling of being so overwhelmed? There's always a lie behind it if you're not feeling hopeful. What are the lies behind your hopelessness? And then 4, remind yourself of all the ways that God has been faithful to you in the past, all the ways that he's intervened, all the wonderful things he's done for you in the past. Remind yourself of how he's come through previously. And 5, worship. Just like Jehoshaphat did. When you worship, you bring the presence of God into your situation. Remember, worship is demon repellent. When you worship, your mind can clear. You can feel calmer. And you bring the supernatural into whatever situation you're in. Worship is the key to clearing your mind. And remember, you're not alone. God's walking with you. He knows the situation. He's constantly speaking to you, but you have to really listen for his voice over the clamor in your mind. And now I want to hear from you. If you're facing obstacles like I've just described, I want you to take those 5 steps and then leave your testimony below this video and tell us what happened when you actually did what Jehoshaphat did. And if this is your first visit here, you need to get this video every week. And to do that, just subscribe by filling out the subscription form and you'll get my free ebook, Healthy Moods. And I'll talk to you again next week. But this week, if you're facing insurmountable odds, remember those 5 steps.